Hello friends, if you are having trouble with CAT VARC, then please try Bodhee Prep's VARC course designed by me. For details, read the message in the video description below.
Let's take this question on TITA Parajumble. We have 5 sentences, and these 5 sentences have to be arranged to form a coherent paragraph. So we must find the opening sentence first. Now, if you look at statement 1, it says before plants can take life from atmosphere, nitrogen must undergo transformation similar to ones that food undergoes in our digestive machinery. And then second says in its aerial form, nitrogen is insoluble, unusable, and is in need of transformation. So again, this also looks like a good opening sentence. Lightning starts the series of chemical reactions that need to happen to nitrogen, ultimately helping it nourish the earth, right? Nitrogen, an essential food. So this introduces nitrogen. Understand, people. So before we talk about nitrogen, before we talk about the aerial form, before we speak about this, so if you look at statement 1 and statement 2, they are basically talking about nitrogen and how it interacts in its nature. But then statement 4 introduces nitrogen. So it says nitrogen, an essential food for plants, is an abundant resource with about 22 million tons of it floating over each square mile of earth. So I get a feeling that first I must speak about nitrogen, right? And once I have spoken about nitrogen, I can speak about these two things. And this speaks about lightning, and this also has lightning. So if you look at this question here, there are two elements in this question. The first element is the element lightning, which we see in only 2 statements. One is 5th and the other is 3, right? And the other element that we see in this paragraph is nitrogen, which is there in statement 3, and then 4, and then 2, and then 1. So definitely either we should speak about lightning first by connecting 5 and 3, or first we should speak about nitrogen. Now look at statement 5. One of the most dramatic examples in nature of ill wind that blows goodness is lightning. Now, how does lightning give way to nitrogen? Now just observe statement 5 and 3. Statement 5 says one of the most dramatic examples in nature of ill wind that blows goodness. That means a bad thing getting a good thing. That is what basically it means. So this is an idiom, and when you say ill wind that blows goodness is basically something that is bad, but it brings good things with it. And lightning is apparently considered to be a bad thing, but it brings some goodness with it. So what is that goodness must subsequently follow. Now 3 says lightning starts the series of chemical reactions that need to happen to nitrogen, ultimately helping it nourish. So this helping it nourish our earth is a good thing. And who is helping with this good thing? Lightning. Lightning is an example in nature of ill wind that blows goodness, right? And how does it do? It's statement 3. So basically what I have to do is I have to start with 5, wherein I say that lightning is an example of ill wind that blows goodness, and then I speak about 3, in which I am explaining how it happens. 3 says lightning starts series of chemical reactions that need to happen to nitrogen, ultimately helping it nourish our earth. So 5, 3 is a pair. And then if I have to continue, I must speak about nitrogen first. Nitrogen, so the author has said, okay, it helps to, bring those chemical reactions in nitrogen, and that helps it nourish our earth. And what is nitrogen? An essential food for plants. It is an abundant resource with about 22 million tons floating over each square mile of. That means 22 million tons is floating over each square. And in its aerial form. So 22 tons is floating over each square miles, and the aerial form here. So if you look at it here, it says in its aerial form, nitrogen is insoluble, unusable. And so 4 says, and nitrogen, an essential food for plants, is abundant resource floating over each square mile. And in this floating form, in this aerial form, nitrogen is insoluble. So we have 5, we have 3, we have 4, we have 2 after that. In its aerial form, nitrogen is insoluble. And before plants take life from atmosphere, nitrogen must undergo transformation similar to ones that food undergoes in our digestive machine. So in its aerial form, it is insoluble, unusable, and before it can be used it must undergo some kind of transformation. So basically 5-3 is one pair, 4-2 is one pair, 5-3 starts with lightning and gradually moves to nitrogen, and 4-1 basically speaks about the nitrogen transformation, and therefore 5-3-4-2-1 is the right sequence.